We're going to now look at customizing the design, creating the mounting holes and moving forward with the alloy before we add on the wheel in the final tutorial, the tyre in the final tutorial. Okay, so if you click on the surface just inside here, that's where we're going to want to create the space for mounting. So we're going to bring the center part out a little bit towards us before putting 5 holes to mount it onto the actual axle of the car. Okay, so we're going to look at it from the front, start a new sketch and draw a circle which we can extrude out. The dimension for this is just going to be 4 inches round, so fairly small. Okay, extrude this circle. If we look this way, we want it to come maybe 0.5 out and click the tick. That's all it needs to look like. In there then we're going to create the holes, so we're going to click on the outside of that and new sketch, look at it from the front again and draw a single circle where we want it. The actual bolts for this, if I can dimension it, the bolts for this are going to be 0.6. Okay, the other dimension that we need to add, if we zoom in, we're going to go from the center of the circle that we've drawn to the center of the wheel, and we're going to set that to 1.2 inches. Okay, so we've just got a nice gap from the edge. It should make it a little bit more secure looking and a little bit more robust. So now you'll notice that that circle, the origin of it, the center, was directly above the center of the hole shape. So make sure you have the dotted line appear when you're drawing that in. We're only going to do one because we're going to pattern it 5 times to create all of the mounting holes. So if I click tick now on the sketch, I'm going to extrude it through. I'm going to make sure I'm removing it from the object, and it's going to go through all. So the hole will go right the way through, as you can see. Click tick and that one hole is done. Instead of drawing that out 5 times, I'm going to create a pattern, a circular pattern. Okay, so on that extrude, you'll see that I'm hoping we'll actually have an issue with this, which will highlight what we need to do to make it work. So I'm going to click on the extrude and then I'm going to go to the pattern tool here. I don't want a linear pattern, I want it around an axis. So I'm going to go down to circular pattern. The entities is asking for a part. We don't want to pattern a part, we want to pattern a feature. So we need to change part pattern at the top to feature pattern. The feature is extrude 5, okay, and the axis is not appearing. That's where we need to actually draw a line in for the axes, okay? So that's what we're going to go back and do. That's the error that I mentioned before. So if we close out, we need something to revolve this around. So if we look at it from the right hand side, I'm going to start a new sketch on the right work plane and draw a line in through the center, making sure it's appearing with a dot so I know it is horizontal, and I'll click tick. I can then rotate for the more 3D view, zoom into the center, and we're going to start our circular pattern again. Change it to feature. The feature is the extrude and the axis is that line that we've just drawn. You can see it's just automatically giving me 4. I need 5 mounting holes and I want it to go around a full 360 degrees. Click tick. You now have the mounting holes for your alloy wheel. Just like that. Nice and straightforward so far. The next bit, no alloy wheel is solid like this. This is the bit where you can start to customize your design. I'm going to do an example. You can do it however you like with as many features as you like. So I'm going to create some holes going around here. I'm going to click on that inside rim and I'm going to start a new sketch and look at it from the front. This is where it's going to get a little bit tricky and a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to draw a circle. This is just for my design. Remember, at this point you can be custom with your design. I'm going to draw a second circle around to there. I'm then going to draw a line straight up the middle and a line nearby, just like this. Okay, I'm then going to use a scissor tool. In fact, I don't even need to cut anything away. I like doing it. I don't need to. Let's add some dimensions first. So this line, I'm going to make it 14.2 so it's easier to remember. It's easier to work in near whole numbers. I'm going to make this one 4.5. In fact, that needs to go a bit closer to the rim to look smarter, so I'm going to make it 14.4. I think I can get away with 14.5. Changing again, and remember this is your design, so you customize it however you want. And I'm happy with those dimensions. I'm then going to check the angle in between these here. I want that to be 10 degrees, a nice round number, so when I rotate it round, it's going to fit really well. Okay, and we'll just click tick. So you can see we've created that sketch. We're now going to extrude that single part through the wheel to remove it to create a hole. So remove, and again through all. That way we don't need to use a distance, we know we just want it to create a big hole. And we click tick. We've got one part of our alloy wheel done. We're now going to do the same again for the rotational pattern. This one, the circular pattern. So if you remember, circular pattern, in fact I've forgotten that same thing we need to do again. We need to create an axis for it to spin around. So if I look at it from the right, create a sketch on the right work plane, draw a line through that centre, making sure it's dotted to know it's horizontal. Okay, then that's going to be my axis for the rotation. Circular pattern, a feature pattern. The feature is my extrude, and the axis is the line I've just drawn. I then want, is 20 going to look odd? I don't think that looks odd, I quite like that. Let's try 22. Oh, I might get away with 25 at this rate. I'm happy with that design. 25 pattern, and I click tick. That is my design for my alloy wheel so far. There are ways I can make it look better and more realistic, but at the moment I'm happy with that.